Welcome again to another segment of Gospel Life News. My name is Taki. I'm so happy to be in your faces again. This is first news for the year, and apparently we have come back to your faces again for the new year to give you guys all the happening in the world of music, and obviously the guys that makes the beats, the Afro beats. My name is Taki. You can spell it as Darki double E. Want to say big thank you to our fans out there. Last year was amazing. You guys made it possible, and this is a new year. Let's put in the same energy, the same effort, the same consistency, and let's do it bigger and better. Trust me, the news is buzzing because we have your usual guys, your fave on the news today, with their latest doings and exploits that they have done in recent days. Now, for the news, right? Apparently, that moment when you probably miss school a bit, and then you discover that a lot has happened while you are not in school, was just what happened Afrobeat space rather. While we were away for the break, we saw a lot happening in the music space. Davido was in the news. Burna Boy was in the news. We saw Burna Boy giving a bombshell towards the top three. We used to know we had the top three initially. That's Davido, Burna Boy, and Wizkid. But Burna Boy have said no. We have top two, and then we have a category that's called the Burna Boy category. That is not the top three, and then they have said they should no longer be called top three, but they're top two and Burna Boy. The news has just been everywhere. Kiss Daniel was online ranting, saying the love will be massive now, but then it's giving them some days. Portable has been online calling out his baby mama with the NRTW companies over taking over his wife and all of that. All of the news is buzzing, but trust us to give them to you bit by bit as we unfold in the day. In the meantime, let's see what we have for you guys today. We'll begin today's news with Burna Boy. We saw Burna Boy last ranks 94 on the year-end official UK singles chart for the year 2023. That's for last year. And the song has now made the year-end chart for 2 consecutive years after charting 26 in 2022. Recall that this song last came out in the year 2022, and then it did massive exploits. At the time, it was official, not maybe officially, but then it was acclaimed, called the song of the summer, after it was sung by different persons of the world, different places of the world. As far as Sweden, people went as far as all over the world singing the song last, and it was a sensation at the time. But then, fast forward to the year 2023, we saw last still doing good numbers, and the ranking at number 94 on the year-end official UK singles chart, and making the end chart for 2 consecutive years. Just shows that Burna Boy is infinite, basically, and that's a good one for Burna Boy for giving us a classic, which he called Last. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy sometime last year came through with a song they called Merana at the time. Sorry, came through. No, apparently I still flew 2023, but then 24 came through with a song 2 years ago. That's 2022, which he called Merana, featured some amazing guys on Insta Banks and Sidio Moose on the song, an amazing one. At the time the song came out, it did instant numbers because the song was created for folks in India at the time, in China, people who could relate in the Asia part of the world, and then people who would relate to what he did on that song. But then, as of today, that song have just surpassed 45 million streams on Spotify, and Burna Boy is that person that does a song, and then you are sure that in coming days that song will begin to spark good numbers for him, because he's Burna Boy, and then he's the ODG, as he calls himself, Odogu. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy City Boy, one of the biggest, maybe not even one of the bigger than the biggest song of the I Told Them album, currently surpassed 90 million streams on Spotify. It is an amazing one, trust me. A lot of persons believe that if the song had come out earlier, before it did, most likely we would be counting 100 at the time. But then for Burna Boy, this is not a shock, because we all know Burna Boy is that person has a pedigree to make a song and do good numbers on any DSPs they want to put the song on. We saw Audiomack. Burna Boy was big on Audiomack, on Spotify, Apple Music, and Boomplay. Burna Boy is that person who would really not give you any doubt when it comes to his song. And this one, City Boy, with the stamping of foot and all of that, over the holiday period, December, the 10th December, we saw in a couple of places this song. Whenever it has been played, everybody went gaga with their dance step and amazing performances with the song. And that has earned Burna Boy about 90 million streams on Spotify as we speak. Moving on, we saw talking about Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone has come out to say they ranked Burna Boy African Giant album as the greatest Nigerian album of all time. And now that is a very, very big one, trust me. We've seen albums like More Love Less Ego, we've seen albums like Made in Lagos, we've seen albums like Timeless, The Good Time, A Better Time, Are Your Album. Like a lot of albums has come through, but then they're saying, talking about Rolling Stone, one of the biggest music body in the world, they've come out to say Burna Boy African Giant at the time has been named the greatest Nigerian album of all time. Just so you know, the album was ranked 330 on the newly released top 500 greatest album of all time globally. And African Giant is one of the only three Nigerian albums to make the list, alongside Fela Kuti Expensive Shit with number 402 and Sunny Ade The Best of the Classic Years with number 465. Moving on, we saw Burna Boy I Told Them album was the eighth most streamed album of the year 2023 on Audiomack. And this album is one album that a lot of persons rated because people saw revenge, people saw clap back, people saw talk back on the project. But then for Burna Boy, he did a classic, and this one has been doing good numbers. As a matter of fact, it was even nominated by the Grammys for an award. So you could just tell that indeed he made album. Now, a lot of people want to give credence to the fact that for the year, we probably have like amazing albums come through, which is obviously entitled to people's opinion, and that is an unpopular opinion. But then people are saying that a lot of people want to say, I Told Them Timeless made a special interest in the year because a lot of artists did not come through with the album. Obviously, we know Fireboy did not come through with an album, and some amazing other guys who we expected to have come through with an album. Rema did not come through with an album. As a matter of fact, it came with an Ultra project and then an EP later in the year. People expected that if this guy Stems also didn't come through with an album, or Rasta did not come through with an album, people expect that if this guy had come through with an album, it would have been a stiffer year for Davido and Burna Boy. But then this is year 2024. Let us see who would win the year at the end of the day. But basically, we saw that I Told Them album became the 8th most streamed album for the year 2023 on Audiomack. Moving on, also Burna Boy Big 7 have just surpassed 30 million streams on Spotify. It became the 4th song on the I Told Them album to reach that milestone. Burna Boy is that person who's capable of doing amazing stuff. We also saw City Boy just some seconds ago surpass about 90 million streams on Spotify, and now we're seeing Big 7 just surpassing 30 million streams. Now, Burna Boy assembled different songs on the appeal to different audience, but apparently City Boy appealed to almost all the audience. But then we're seeing people picking out their songs. Some persons want to go with Sitting on Top of the World, some people want to go with Big 7, some persons are going with Giza, some persons so whatever song it is, Burna Boy has made a song for you at every walk of life, and no wonder all these songs are picking up and doing massive numbers as we speak. Just coming in, we saw Burna Boy has earned over 1.7 billion streams on Spotify for the year 2023 across all credits, and that's an amazing for Burna Boy, earning over 1.7 billion. We saw last year Love Tamini crossed the mark of 1 billion stream on the project, and they've given us a cumulative figure of what last year was for Burna Boy, and for last year he actually earned over 1.7 billion stream on Spotify in the year 2023 across all credits. Now that's bigger bargain rights for him, that's bigger money for him, because we know the figures Spotify are going to pay him for having about 1.7 billion stream on Spotify. It means congrats to Burna Boy for showing that yes, he is the Odogu at the time. Still on Burna Boy, we saw Burna Boy coming through to win the Best Male Artist at the 2023 The Grape Juice Award, an amazing one. And there was an award that was sent up with a lot of amazing artists from different parts of the world. But there was Burna Boy coming through to winning the best male artist for the year 2023 at the Grape Juice Award. Moving on from Burna Boy, we have Davido as the next guy on the news. We saw Davido, according to the Turntable Charts, they came out to give us a report that Davido remains the only to at least have had one number one song in every calendar year since the launch of the singles chart in Nigeria. 2023 numbers, a rundown of 23 events in the country during the year of 2023. So apparently, the Turntable Chart have come out to say Davido remains the only artist to have had at least one number one song in every calendar year since the launch of the turntable chart. And that's an amazing one. We saw that this year was an amazing for Davido with a timeless album with its song like Unavailable, Feel, Kante, Na Money, No Competition. These are songs that a lot of persons have given their credence to and have selected songs based on how they feel of the song. Some persons in the garden, for some persons Na Money, for some persons Unavailable, for some persons Over Them. Like Davido has given people in different parts of the world song to pick from the album, and no wonder the album is doing good numbers. And it's just normal that an album like this should actually top charts whenever you drop them. But then we're saying that they are coming out to say Davido is the only artist to have had at least one number one song in every calendar year. For last year, 2022 was a bit turbulent for Davido, but then we saw that he managed to make some classic, amazing one. We saw where he made one with the choir teams, and then we saw he made one with Fuse at the time, and Electricity, which he called that one. And amazing that song. So it has just been a year filled up with back and forth, but at the same time, he also managed to have a classic even in his bad year. So for Davido, we say congratulations to Davido for attaining that one on the turntable charts. Just coming in yesterday, we saw Davido actually began his holiday at the St. Kitts and Nevis yesterday, and then we saw him going there with his wife, Chioma, and with their bundle of joy, talking about their twins. And Davido and Chioma was dressed up in all white, and then we saw them loving up on the streets of St. Kitts, at the point kissing Chioma, and it just shows that Davido has had an amazing year, and this is a good time to rest. Davido initially came out to say that's December, he has been on the road flying up and down. He couldn't even have enough time to enjoy the festive period because he's been to one show to Dash in Lagos. Davido had about 3 shows in Lagos, from the Flight and Festival to the one at Landmark Beach, and then to the one at the first day of January. And that was after he attended the Avestos Church, and then he actually brisked down from the church straight to what the event looked like. And it was alongside Olamide and some other amazing artists. But that just shows the velocity of what the year end looked like for him. It was a busy one, and this is a good time to actually have your rest. And then he's doing that with his wife, Chioma, and their bundle of joy, the twins. Moving on, we saw Davido coming out to say, 2023 was a great year. Thank you, God, for restoring happiness and success in my life. And then he said, 2024, I am ready, coming from Davido. And let's see what the new year holds for Davido, 30BG, and the guys associated with him. Still on Davido, we saw Davido timeless album have now spent 40 weeks in the top 10 of the Nigeria Spotify album chart, having been at number 5 this week. It is the longest charting album in the top 10 released this year, and it is also the album with the most weeks spent as number 1 in this year's top 10. Moving on, we saw Davido appears on all the 4 editorial lists of the Billboard favorite African album and song for the year 2023. Now, for the Billboard guys, they've shown personal interest in Davido and how much they've valued and loved what he's done, the work he's put into this music and all of that. They've make sure they've made that love known at every point, from interview sections with him, from the list, from nominations, to his numbers in the charts. Davido is winning and firing on all cylinders when it comes to the Billboard guys, and no wonder its song or his name appears on all the 4 editorial lists on the Billboard favorite African album and song for the year 2023. And just coming in, we saw Davido will be performing live at the Jazz Garden Music Festival on the 9th day of March 2024, and that's for the day one. And we're going to be, for day one, we have guys like Summer Walker, Davido, Jasmine Sullivan, Kirk Franklin, Omarion, Think, Eric Bellinger, a special DJ set by Kid Capri, and I'm going to be hosted by Jess Hilarious. An amazing one. I'm seeing Davido alongside Grace Mel, like Summer Walker, Jasmine, Kirk Franklin, Omarion. These are guys we all look for when we're kids, and Davido right now will be sharing the same stage with them. As a matter of fact, he is headlining this one, and then we can't wait to see what he's set to do on the stage, talking about the Jazz Garden Music Festival in the US on the 9th day of March 2024. Apparently, sometimes in October 16, we saw someone on Twitter named the Russian Big Seven. Apparently, one of the Burna Boy syndicates came out to say Davido submitting his song and project for the Grammy consideration shows he actually doesn't know what he's doing. Timeless is one of the most directionless albums I've seen, been released by a B artist like Davido. And apparently, about 2 months after when he said this, we saw where the Grammy team themselves came out to nominate Davido project 3 times for the forthcoming award. Davido reposted that one, and where he quoted him saying, "Life." So basically it means that that is what life can be, but then patience would give you, or patience rather, would give you what you never thought you would get. Congrats again to Davido on this one. Coming in, we saw Unavailable is now eligible for gold certification in Portugal, and that is what he has always wanted. And now that it's coming before him, this must be great joy to Davido for saying his song, doing good numbers in places like Portugal, Netherlands, Sweden, and all of that. This will be the third certification for Davido if it has finally come through, and it has been an amazing year so far for Davido. Moving on, we have Wizkid as the next and last guy on the news. Finally, we saw Wizkid is now back to 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Last year was a bit up and down for Wizkid. The MLLE album, More or Less Ego album, and that album did not do good numbers as it were. And then Wizkid had a run of songs for the year, which did not really penetrate the fans' space at the time. And then when it was just got to get started, we saw where he lost his mom, his precious mom, and that was a big setback for Wizkid, Big Wiz at the time, and we saw where his numbers were reducing. At the time, he was even on a tour, so we saw he couldn't continue the tour, and then his numbers started reducing, his followers reduced on Spotify. But with the emergence of S2, as we speak, the EP, we saw his numbers coming up, and then as we speak, Wizkid is now back to 10 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Moving on, we saw Wizkid again as one of the best international acts, and at the same time, not Wizkid alone this time, but then Wizkid FC has also won the most active fan base for the year 2023 at the Great Juice Awards. Now, just so you know what Wizkid has done, amazing guys, he won for the best national artist. We saw Wizkid winning likes of Burna Boy, Aresta, Kylie Minogue, and Raye to win the award with about 76.4 votes. Burna Boy comes second with 8.1 votes. Aresta comes third with 4.8 votes. Kylie comes fourth with 4.6 votes, and most of that guys who came fifth with 2.4 votes. I'm talking about the Wizkid FC, one of the biggest fan base in the world. We saw them also bagging an award, and they won that one with about 68.5% vote. That was a landslide winning, a very massive slide winning, and then we saw where they won the likes of the Babs. That's the Nicki Minaj fan team with about 12.1, who got 12.1%. And then the Beehive, the Beyonce fan page, we got about 10.5%. And then we saw the Navy, the Rihanna team, who got about 3.3%. And then the Swifties, that's Taylor Swift, we got about 2.2%. Now, the FC folks coming through to win out with about 68.5 just shows that at this point, it would be unfair to categorize Davido, Burna Boy, Wizkid as local, because they've shown that we can go head to head against these big guys in their own space and their country and pick up an award ahead of them. Moving on, we saw Raman Jago and Ashake was seen vibing and jamming to Wizkid IDK song, and for Raman Jago and Ashake, we know lately they've been hanging out like a lot alongside Burna Boy, and it is nice to see the bromance between these two artists. Over the festive period, we saw Raman Jago and his statement was trending with the "You look like Metro," and that was like a big one for him at the time. And this one, we saw him vibing. It would have been, I would have loved to use the word endorsing, but Wizkid really, as big with as he is, we really not need endorsement from these guys. But basically, this is a big one, and it shows that in the Afrobeat space is one love, no beef, no hate. Everybody love and respect themselves, and they all love this song. And this is a testament to that, showing that Vag Jago and Ashake was saying jamming to IDK by Wizkid. Finally, we saw for the Billboard World Digital Song Sales, Ololufe with one they call, that's talking about Wizkid song of the S2 EP, currently sit at number 8 as a new entry. And then Wizkid now has broken a record, which now means he now records 29 entries on the chart, and it became the most by any Afrobeat artist, 15 top 10 E's. Another massive one for Wizkid, having about 29 entries on the chart. On the Billboard World Digital Song Sales, having about 29 songs who have made entries on that chart, it just shows that Wizkid could also become infinite because of what he's done in the past and then what he's still doing. My name is Taki. I'm coming through with more news for you guys for the end of the day. Trust us to give you more news and entertain you as we tell them. Take care of yourself and have fun and work.